Hi guys. In this lesson, we're going to learn about equivalent fractions. We will learn what they are and how to easily form them. This video will cover the basics of equivalent fractions. Let's start. Okay, so what are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions are fractions that equal the same amount. Let's say I have a pizza that was cut into two parts. If I eat one of these two parts, I will have eaten one half of this pizza. Now let's say I have one pizza that was cut into four parts. If I eat two of these parts, I will eat 2/4 of the pizza. But you can see that there's an equal amount of green highlighted in both of these pizzas. That means 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent fractions. So let's do a really quick review of some basic multiplication and division. Let's look here. If I have any number and I multiply it by 1, I get that number. So for example, if I have 5 and I multiply it by 1, I have 5. The same thing goes with 3. If I have 3 and I multiply it by 1, I have 3. This goes with any number. Now let's do division. If I have any number divided by itself, I get 1. So for example, 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1, and 3 divided by 3 is also equal to 1. This goes with any number. Now let's use this information and apply it to equivalent fractions. If we multiply the top and bottom of a fraction by the same number, we will get an equivalent fraction. Let's start with the fraction 2 divided by 3. If we multiply the top and bottom by the same number, we will get an equivalent fraction. That's what it says right here. Let's multiply both top and bottom by 5. 2 times 5 is equal to 10. 3 times 5 is equal to 15. When we do this, we get 2/3 is equal to 10/15. In other words, these are equivalent fractions. Why does this work? Because 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. That's what we learned on the last slide. And we also know that when we multiply any fraction by 1, we get an equivalent fraction. So 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. And if we multiply this fraction by 5 divided by 5, that means that this should equal this. This is what equivalent fractions are. Let's do another example. We have 1 divided by 5, 1/5. Let's multiply top and bottom by 2. 1 times 2 is equal to 2, and 5 times 2 is equal to 10. That means 1 divided by 5 and 2 divided by 10 are equivalent fractions because we multiplied both top and bottom by 2. Okay, so we can apply this with division as well. If we divide the top and bottom of a fraction by the same number, we will get an equivalent fraction. For example, if we have 15 divided by 5 and we multiply top and bottom by 5, we divide top and bottom by 5, we'll get 3 divided by 1. Why? Well, 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. We know that. And 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. Since we divided top and bottom by 5, and we know that 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1, 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3 divided by 1. Let's do another example. 4 divided by 6. Let's divide top and bottom by 2. 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. We divided top and bottom by 2. So we know 4 divided by 6 is equal to 2 divided by 3. These are equivalent fractions. So there really is one big rule that you need to remember. Whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. This is very, very important. You can multiply or divide by any number as long as you do it to both top and bottom of a fraction. This is very important. Please remember this. Okay, let's just get a little bit more challenging. We're going to find the missing number now. Let's look right here. 4 divided by 8 is equal to some number divided by 32. We don't know that number. We need to find that number. Let's ask ourselves, how do we get from 8 to 32? Think about it for a second. Well, the answer is we multiply it by 4. So we know that whatever we do to the top, we must do to the bottom. So in this case, we need to multiply the top by 4 to find the missing number. That's what it says right here. We must multiply 4 by 4 to find the missing number. Well, we know 4 by 4, 4 times 4 is 16. So we get 4 divided by 8 is equal to 16 divided by 32. These are equivalent fractions. All we did is apply the rule. Whatever we do to the top, we must do the bottom. That's how we found this missing number right here, to be 16. Okay, let's do another example. We have some number divided by 3 is equal to 7 divided by 1. Let's ask ourselves, how do we get from 1 to 3? Well, we multiply by 3. That's pretty easy. We all know that. So we need to do whatever we did to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So 7 times 3 is what? 21. We have that right here. So the missing number is 21. So we get 21 divided by 3 is equal to 7 over 1. These are equivalent fractions. One last thing. Let's check if these fractions are equivalent or not. We need to check if the same thing was done to the top and bottom of the fraction. That's our big rule. So 4 divided by 2 and 40 divided by 20. Let's look at the top first. 4 to 40. How do we get from 4 to 40? We multiply by 10. We know that. 4 times 10 is 40. Now let's look at the denominator. 2 and 20. How do we get from 2 to 20? Well, we also multiply by 10. Since these numbers are the same, these are equivalent fractions. That's good because the same thing was done to the top and the bottom. That's what equivalent fractions are. Last example. 3 divided by 4 is equal to 15 divided by 16. How do we get from 3 to 15? Well, we multiply by 5. Now let's do the denominator. How do we get from 4 to 16? We multiply by 4. These numbers are not the same. In other words, the same thing was not done to the top and the bottom. That goes against our big rule. So in this case, these are not equivalent fractions. This is not an equivalent fraction. This was an equivalent fraction. Okay, so that's the end of our short lesson. This is a really basic explanation of equivalent fractions. Thank you for watching.